I got a chance to play Fortnite 6, 7, 8 months, 9 months ago ahead of when you guys headed out to see it for the cover story. So I played the game as it was getting kind of iterated on and moving forward. Did you guys like it as well, or am I crazy?
I think we liked it a lot. I don't know exactly like what build you played or what was in place, but like the destructibility and the procedural generation, everything was all in place, and I thought it was really cool.
I actually liked the demo that I got because it wasn't terribly structured. It was like, all right, here's the game, you're in, have at it. And it was like, you know, kind of running around, like figuring out like, what can I pick up? What can I throw? What do I break? I mean, I think I almost like immediately fell in a hole and I was like, there are no stairs to get out of this hole. So it had that kind of cool, I think that Minecraft kind of element of like, okay, now I got to figure out how to like change the environment to get me out of here.
It's kind of this, here's this world, you've got a stick. I mean, that element's a lot like Minecraft, but I think it's the right amount of that type of stuff, because if it went really in depth with the crafting and stuff like Minecraft, you wouldn't be able to like build structures and defend yourself as quickly as you need to when there's just waves and waves of husks coming in. Because it's not like, well, I need this type of ore, and then if I mix it with this, it's like wood, steel, stone, basically. It's those three basic things. You get enough of that, and most things in the environment will give you one of those three things. And you can just throw up walls super quick. It's not like block, block, block. It's here's a whole wall at once, basically.
Yeah. I thought it was a good mix because I've played a lot of Minecraft. It seems like you're losing something like that, but it also doesn't go so far in the other way that some games do, where it's like, okay, you can build one of 12 buildings, which one do you want to build? Here you're building whole walls, and by knocking out little pieces you can build doors or windows or, you know, ramps and different like balconies and stuff like that. And so you really do have a lot of
It's
variety,
very intuitive
and
once you understand it.
Yeah.
Once you start to see how you can use that kind of simple interface to rapidly build stuff. And that's the thing too, you know, you're like wood wall, and then you just sit there and kind of spam it, and they look like pro. They don't look like just like blocks going together. It actually looks like a fairly complicated wall with like, okay, they are square, or you know what I mean? Like they, you know, you do work within a grid, certainly, but you can make interesting structures within that grid. And that's what I liked about my demo of the game, was that we started out like idiots, running around like making zombies angry everywhere and just figuring out simple things like how to use a ramp to get out, to like figuring out that like, 'cause at first we were like, oh, we'll just make like a bridge and we'll go up here, and then like they won't be able to get us because they're zombies and they're dumb, and then we'll stand up here and we'll like shoot them, and like I'm so smart, right? Like I have mastered this game, right? And then all of a sudden they start introducing other guys who are like throwing things at you, and the AI starts to be pretty aggressive about not letting you camp or use the environment, which you kind of assume you could do to get an advantage on them. It's not really. And that's why you start working with other people immediately. That was the fun part, was like, we need to build a place or we're gonna die.
Or if you build a really tall thing, you're like, okay, we're gonna make a bunch of like little sniper towers or nests here. They'll, you talk about throwing things. It's not just throwing bombs and fireballs and stuff. They will actually, like these flinger guys will take other husks and throw them up top. And so like, you're not nearly as defended up top. Like you might just have an open staircase leading right down to the gate or whatever. And so if this guy's just throwing a bunch of like baby husks up there, they'll go straight down.
That is definitely like the routine of people that play the game. You think you're smarter than what's going to happen to you, and then you discover you are not smarter and everything goes to hell. And then it's kind of like damage recovery mode. I think I boxed myself in at one point, like just like built a box around myself to like buy time to like reorganize, reload, because things are out of control. As they start to come through your base, you'd be like, screw this, I'm getting rid of these stairs. We're trapped up here, but that's okay. Which we even went as far as like, we had one where we like, basically, we made a staircase into kind of the sky, going like, I hope we don't run out of resources, because they're not stopping and we're not winning in that overrun base.
I did that exact thing. I made a staircase, just, I mean, way like into like the clouds and stuff, in a huge sky bridge. And of course, Ben Hansen comes around and thinks it's funny to shoot a rocket at the base, and the whole thing just falls apart. And it's great. Thanks,
Ben Hansen ruins everything.
He really does.
He really does.
Yeah, he locked me in a basement too. I went down into a basement and I was digging, and then I could hear him laughing like off to the side, and I went back and was like, wait, how did I get down here? It's all ceilings built in. I didn't know where I was.
It's like Edgar Allan Poeing you into this place.
Yeah. He could still hear my heart beating though, so drove him crazy. I don't know if it was in your game, but one of the main kind of objectives is you find these gates and you have to close them.
Yeah, and protect them, right? It's basically kind of like your own, like, just defend this, win territories kind of thing.
Building an actual base around it, you can see how much strategy goes into that. It is surprising how well that the enemies can figure it out, because no matter how many, walls and layers we built around it, I think at one point the guys from Epic were like, okay, I think you can start it now, I think it's big enough, and we just wanted to keep on building,
Yeah.
we were building our crazy fort like children. Even then, they still figured it out, and it's like, oh, we shouldn't have done that, we should have built it this way. So it's nice having a shooter like that where it's not just a random horde mode that we're so used to. There's actual strategy and building into it.
And the cooperation that goes on with it. I mean, it's fun to scream and what do you, that's not where we want the wall. I'll put this here.
And it's always fun too, when they figure out what the Achilles heel is. It's like the exhaust port on the Death Star.
Yeah.
It's like that one wall you didn't really protect or whatever, and they break it down, and all of a sudden they're all just going there. And it's like, oh crap, we need to build something and kill these guys. And it's that moment of panic or whatever, but it's also super fun.
That was kind of one of the fun things about when I saw the game too, was the team was just like, I don't know, what do you think we should do? You know what I mean? And I think that's the way they talk to each other too, to some degree with this game, is is that fun? Or is that fun? You know what I mean? They seem really open to kind of just trying to figure out what people would like to do in the world. There was no kind of home base when I played it.
Right.
And there was just the kind of one PvP game, and they were like, there'll be more. What did you guys have for PvP?
They were very clear on the fact that there will be a PvP element in this game, but what we played is not necessarily indicative of what any final mode or anything is going to be. They're just kind of testing out some stuff right now. That said, just the mode we played was a lot of fun. It was basically, here's a map, your team's got a unicorn, little playground ride-along thing, and then they've got one too, and you got to kill the other person's unicorn toy thing.
Of course.
And so, of course, you got to build your fortress and stuff around there. It's early, and obviously there's some stuff they're going to work on. I think for that kind of quick player versus player type thing, I think controller support would be really helpful, instead of oh, I think 2 is my sword slash thing, but oh no, I accidentally switched to building a wall and now this guy killed me. I mean, it's not final or anything, so I don't want to judge this now.
You really got thrown off by the keys on the keyboard?
When there's a guy running around hitting you with a bat or something, and you gotta hit a thing, and there's 400. Listen, I didn't grow up a PC gamer like you.
I got it, but it's just the most insane sentence I've ever heard, when it was I really couldn't do anything exact with this whole mouse keyboard setup. I really wish they had a controller to really get me some exact. I mean, I would just like to let all the readers know that Dan does not represent all of Game Informer with his totally insane version of keyboard and mouse.
The thing that sticks out, besides the keyboard though, is that the evolution of the horde mode, this isn't just simple PvP. The building aspects are really built into the strategy, and you're more interested in okay, how are we gonna build this base to keep people out? And one of the funny things is that you build doors, but the enemy team can't open the doors. But if you actually open one, then you can run right in. Yeah. So I always sneaking up at night, there are husks everywhere, and there's lightning and everything, and you see one guy flip open the door, and he runs right past you because he's not looking, and you just run right in and start attacking the unicorn. So there was a lot of,
I know, it's
magical
right.
unicorn.
No, it is really funny. In the version I played, it was a similar game, a little bit different, but I didn't play the spank the unicorn that you guys did. It was funny because I would do that too. I'd be I know what, I don't want to run across and try to attack anymore. I'm just gonna box myself in and then let them come try to get it. You know what I mean? As a defender. And it's funny to watch them because you can see them trying to break through the wall, and you're just sitting there going,
yeah, just waiting.
I'm just waiting for this wall to come down, because I'm just going to unload on you with everything I've got the second that door. So it is fun to use those kind of things, or be oh, you're going to knock that wall down? What if I put another wall in?
Yeah, or sometimes you'd end up screwing yourself, and you'd build an outer wall, and then the ninja will come and double jump over it. And it's wait, how do I get in? We didn't build a door. They're attacking inside. Get them. I'm really interested also in seeing just what other multiplayer modes they come up with. And they were talking about even just capture the flag, which is such an old and usually boring mode, but once you get to build your own base and then hide the flag in there, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, that sounds really fun.
Do they have any kind of overworld setup thing too? I mean, because one of my questions actually after playing the game, which was weird to me, that I was I really liked the campaign mode, I liked playing co-op, but I kind of had that to some degree. I wanted to just have a mode where I could just go in there and kind of just build junk and just kind of have something that I could always be messing around with.
They said there's going to be a creative mode where you can just build whatever you want. But then you also have your home base, which isn't quite the same. They're still deciding whether that's going to be a 3D physical place that you go into. Right now it sounds more kind of like an XCOM base where you'll buy certain buildings and those will give you different buffs or whatever. But then you'll also have like your own fortress where you'll just have a map and you can just constantly build a bigger and bigger fortress that can then be pulled into different other game modes. So you can always just be building your, the fort of your dreams. And then there's also kind of an overworld map now in the campaign mode. But basically there's like a hex grid that is a town that has, kind of a fog of war, and you start in one place and you'll select that hex and that will take you into one of these smaller maps.
Okay,
and you'll complete the objective on it, and then that will make the fog of war retreat.
You get like
and
three options.
Yep, and then you choose like, okay, now we're gonna go to the suburbs and do this one, and you kind of make your way through the map towards a larger goal.
Yeah, there's always this like gold tile, and when we saw it on the hex map, it just had like a gold star on it. But I mean, you could go any number of ways to get there.
And a number of them are procedurally generated, so you can do every time you do it.
Yep.
It's
and
different.
They get increasingly difficult too as you spread out.
One of the things I bugged them about, which they weren't, really ready to answer. I know we're not, necessarily answering in this cover story, but like to me, it felt like the game was totally doable on console. Like there was nothing that I saw that like felt like it couldn't be on console at some point.
They really plan on, updating it a lot.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can do that on the next gen consoles now. So
Yeah,
I certainly hope it would.
Yeah, so it sounds like the way that they're going to make money off of this is, I mean, nothing's set in stone by any means, but they said they're looking at Riot and they're looking at Valve.
It's interesting. I mean, obviously, as when they got purchased in part, by Tencent, and they became kind of sister companies with Riot, who makes League of Legends. I think they got a chance to really see some of the kind of inner workings of the way Riot works and the way Riot figures things out. And I think, a lot of people give Riot a lot of credit for it's a free-to-play game, but you don't have to pay, that they've done such a great job that people tended to spend money to get more customization items and things like that, and to kind of enhance their experience rather than like it changing or altering the experience itself. And you can definitely tell that same philosophy is behind what Epic is trying to do with Fortnite. They are going to figure out ways for you to pay for something, right? I mean, cards, whatever it is. And I saw that too. I was like, if I have to rebuild a really good weapon all the time, like not necessarily awful, but in the early stage when I was playing it was like, this could take up a lot of my time of making sure like I have a good weapon.
Yeah, it seems like they have enough options there that they don't have to exploit their user base. And the other thing that I'm optimistic about is that they haven't paired up with a publisher for this game. They're doing it all themselves, so they don't have someone standing over their shoulder saying, hey, how are you going to make money for us? They seem really passionate about not making a game that's going to piss people off and constantly ask them for money.
I've not played any real free-to-play games before. I guess on like phone I have, but I've never tried a PC one before. And I don't think I'd be prone at all to buying like vanity items or anything like that. I kind of think I can play this game and have a lot of fun and probably not spend much money. So that sounds pretty good to me.
I know like there's been games like PlanetSide 2, I was like, what idiot buys a helmet? And then I went and I kept going and fighting with other guys, and I looked at everybody in like my troop, that I'd be fighting with, and I was like, I'm the guy in the ghetto helmet. I kid you not, free-to-play games, they do that crap to you where you're like, I don't really need that, but you're like, well, I don't know. Everyone's got a pumpkin head for Halloween. You know what I mean? Like, there's like weird social pressures that happen in free-to-play games. It happens. I'm just warning you now. I mean, I know you're having trouble with that keyboard and you might not be able to type in like your account name to order something online, which, maybe you're safe.
I just look forward to seeing what they offer first.
Yeah, I don't think people should go in expecting Minecraft, because Minecraft is a game about creating stuff with some elements of danger and some action kind of. This is an action game with some elements of building. So yeah, don't expect like Minecraft. You're not going to recreate Westeros from Game of Thrones or anything, but it is genuinely fun to build fortresses.
But I do think it does have that cooperative element that does come from like Minecraft and games of that, where you can like work together to like make and change the environment. It felt like a different kind of game. I mean, at least a game that I had not played before.
Yep.
Yes.